What's up, Deep Thinkers? It's Robert from Existence First. It's Sunday night, and I'm back in San Jose after driving up 3 nights in a row to San Francisco for this very cool self-help seminar. Now, this seminar really reawakened me. The reason it did was because it was run by some very highly motivated, highly driven people, very present to the moment, very intense, right? And it reawakened me, and it made me think of this topic of acculturation. Okay, I spoke about this in spiritual self-defense class, the free weekly lecture that I do on Saturdays, and thank you to those who showed up and watched online. I'm not going to post the whole thing because issues with the recording, so you guys got to show up in person or online every week on Saturday, free of charge. Okay, so anyways, what I talked about was this topic of acculturation. Now, in the field of psychology, every now and then you have to write these documents where you talk about the patient's culture and how their culture affects treatment and this and that. Okay, and when I hear of culture, I think of things like food, clothing, style, right? Religion, social norms, right? And of course, all of those things are elements of culture, but that doesn't interest me nearly as much as this question, which is, could it possibly be that one element of culture is the standards that we allow ourselves to live up to, or the standards that we hold ourselves to? Could that be part of a culture? And the reason I was thinking this is because don't we allow ourselves to get used to the standards around us, whether they're low or high? If they're higher, then we kind of have to hustle and try to bring ourselves up to that standard. If they're lower, then it's a human tendency to get lazy and kind of underperform our actual ability or actual potential. Okay? This is what was happening to me, and this is why I was so reawakened on Thursday night when I went up to the seminar, right? Because I was reminded of the social conditioning around us and the, kind of the greater society, and I realized that, wait a second, this is what's going on. It wasn't that, I'm all unmotivated, what's wrong with me? It was that I was being hypnotized, so to speak, to use very extreme language there. Hypnotized or sort of captivated or tranced out by my environment around me. It's kind of like a swimming pool, right, where you jump in and it's super cold and you want to get out, but you stay in it, and before you know it, you're used to it and it feels fine, and you can stay in there indefinitely, right? It's very dangerous, I think. Very dangerous because, well, if you want to be above average, and after all, this is a self-help channel, so this is for people who want, better than average emotions, better than average understanding of life, better than average relationships, lifestyle, confidence, all those things, right? It's not for people who want the baseline average level. So we have to be monitoring this thing. We have to be watching. We have to be vigilant of, are we allowing ourselves to stoop down to the standards that are surrounding us? Okay. If we're not vigilant of this, one possible consequence is, I was reminded of this show, Married with Children. You probably remember this. It's a funny sitcom with Al Bundy, the character played by, I think it's Ed O'Neill, who plays this middle-aged man who's kind of like disenchanted with life, family man, like he has 2 kids and a wife, but he's kind of not happy with his life. And there's this ongoing joke in the TV series where he brags about scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game back when he was in high school. But this man is like 45 years old or something, right? And so he's living in his past, right? So he's proud of the standards that he was living up to in high school. But now in the present, when he's 45, he's not happy with the standards he's living up to, but he suppresses that by distracting himself and living in the past. Okay? This is very dangerous, right? And although it's funny, it causes a lot of laughs to the viewers of this show, right? And it does have comedic value. At the same time, it's kind of sad, It's sad if you take it seriously, and it's a big issue. It violates a principle that I hold very strong, right, in Existence First, and that principle is my faith in the human being's ability to feel good. faith in the human being's ability to overcome challenges, to feel good in the present, and to make something of their life right now, regardless of what happened in the past. Okay? Al Bundy's example is a violation of that principle. Right? It's disrespectful to the human being, if we take things seriously here. I know it's a sitcom, but it's disrespectful to the human being. It's disrespectful to my understanding of the human being. Right? We're so much more capable of that. Our brain is more powerful than the brain of any other species on this planet. The last thing I'm going to allow the human being to do is live in the past and let go of the present and one's ability to direct the present in the direction that they want it to go. Okay. And well, now this is turning into a motivational rant, but you get the story, or you get the point. Okay. So how do we avoid this, right? Well, I guess we have to stay vigilant, right? We have to just remember this principle. I mean, it's a principle of acculturation. Okay. If you can move to another country and get used to their food, clothing, lifestyle, whatever, then the same thing can happen with your psychology and with your mindset, and that's what like groupthink is, right? I get super I don't know, weirded out, or like anytime I see like large groups of people doing the same thing, or like following like a teacher like blindly, and it's really weird, right? Now, last thing I'll say, because I just had this idea, right? So when I drive down from San Jose to LA, there's this thing you pass, which is like a huge like farm for like cows. Like I guess that's for like the meat industry. I don't know, right? But all these cows, right, are to get like massive amounts. And if you look at them, you realize that there's this animal-like herd behavior that they're exhibiting, right? And then every once in a while, there's going to be one weird cow that like is found in the middle of nowhere, like off by the fence, like close to the highway, but still within the enclosure, off by himself. But all the other cows are like together, right? So with the exception of that one, the outlier, you've got this intrinsic sort of psychological drive in the cows to exhibit herd-like behavior, to stay in the crowd, right? Now, if we're going to really understand the human being for what it is, then we need to understand that we also have a herd-like tendency, right? Doesn't mean it's the end of the world, right? Doesn't mean it has power over us. Our awareness will give us power over it, right? Over that psychological tendency. So watch out for this herd-like phenomenon, right? But just be aware of it. I mean, this is understanding psychology at the deeper level, but this is real psychology, right? This is stuff that we use every single day, or things that I use, right, to come out of these periods of like lack of motivation or whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right. So that's what I'll leave us with, is this question of what standards have you allowed yourself to come down to? What standards have you allowed yourself to get used to? And what standards do you need to reinstitute for your life? Okay? Think deeply and put your existence first.